there's no other announcements, I'm going to allow our guest program to come up. We have Lydia Walker. She is a singer and songwriter from here in Clarksville. I think she lives in Cunningham, out in Lisa's neck of the woods. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. It is such an honor to be here with you this morning, and I appreciate Luke inviting me to be here. Luke's a great friend of mine. We've known each other for years, and like you said, I've grown up here in Clarksville and just love this town and have been a part of different events and been at different organizations, but this is my first time at the Sunrise Rotary, so thank you for having me. I am a singer-songwriter, and I've been playing music probably my entire life, but when I was 12 years old, I started playing guitar and writing songs, and that's when I really got serious as you can get as a 12-year-old, but I started young, and so I've been playing music for the last 15 years, and I just wanted to come and share my story today, and also encourage you with a message about mentorship and how important that is. And so I'll share how it's affected my story, but also encourage you how you can use that in your life as well. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about why it's important to have a mentor and also be a mentor. And I want you to think back on people that have spoken into your life at a pivotal moment. It may not have seemed like a pivotal moment at the time, but looking back, you can say, this is where my life changed. I changed directions at this point. And that has happened to me so many times through the years. People have spoken in my life. I've had a conversation, had a meeting with someone, and they've given me the next step or pointed me in the right direction. And when I was younger, that happened a lot in youth group, or when I was traveling around, I would have people come up to me and speak into my life. And so I see a lot of people as mentors in my life. It might not be a weekly accountability partner, but maybe just one conversation. And so I want you to think about those people that have spoken into your life, and how is your life different now because of those people? Like, maybe it wouldn't have turned out the same way without those conversations, that encouragement along the way. I think we all need that mentorship, and it looks different in all of our lives, but it's also important to be a mentor and give back and be a part of someone else's journey. Even if it doesn't seem like a big deal to you, one conversation could be that big deal for somebody else. I was looking at the website for Sunrise Rotary and just looking over your values as a group, and I noticed that leadership was a big thing for you, and also service in the community. And that is so important, because if we don't have good, strong leaders, we're not going to be able to build up the next generation. And service to the community is how we're going to keep our community the beautiful place that it is. And so I want to encourage you to look for those opportunities to invest in people that are either younger than you or just not as far along as you. I've been playing music for a long time. I've been recording songs that I've written and releasing them, putting them out into the world, and then traveling around singing at different events. And I ask myself this question. Whenever I go through a big transition in my life, I ask big questions like, what am I here for? What am I supposed to do? And when I got married, when I started having kids, I would ask myself, like, what do I really want to do with my life? What's the most important for me? And I have two little ones. I have an almost 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. They were sleeping when I left this morning because it was really early. But they are precious, and I love being a mom, and that is such a driving force and a high calling in my life. And so I have this passion for music, but then I have this passion for motherhood. And so I've seen mentorship happen in both of those realms of my life, and now I'm trying to figure out, how can I help other young moms, and how can I help other musicians who are getting started? Even though I don't see myself as the best guitarist in the world or the best singer in the world, and I don't have a lot of hit songs, but I've written songs, I've released songs, I've promoted them. So to someone that's never written songs before, I can help them get started. And I'm not a veteran mom quite yet, I just have little ones, right? So I might not be able to speak to moms with teenagers as much, but just to a friend who's pregnant, a first-time mom, I can really help her from my experience. And so there's lots of ways that we can reach out to people right where they're at and just speak into their life. Like, think about those lessons that you had to learn the hard way. What if you could save somebody and spare them the time of figuring it out themselves by just saying, here's your next step, or here's an option, or even letting people know they have options is a big deal. And so I was at one of those times in my life where I was thinking, what do I really want to do with my life? What's the most important? And I asked this question: if I couldn't play guitar anymore, if I couldn't sing anymore, if I wasn't able to travel and had to stay home, like, what's the one thing that I would still do with my life? What's the most important thing? And I asked myself that question, I thought about it, and I thought I would still write songs. Because that's how this all started for me, was writing songs. And then I had this drive to sing these songs because no one else was singing them, right? So for other people to hear it, I needed to be the one to sing it. And so I would still write songs, and that is such a passion of mine, to be able to share messages through music. And that's really what it is. It's connecting with people through music because it's a way to get the message across. And so about a year ago, I started a podcast that's for songwriters. It's called the Rustic Songbird Podcast. And I interview different people in the music industry and have them share their knowledge. And so I'm able to tap into the network of people that I've met over time and share their knowledge with more people. And so even if I don't know all the answers, I might know somebody who has the answer. So I'm able to connect people with that and help people that are just getting started in the music industry or wanting to take their music from a hobby to a full-time musician. And so I'll interview people at different levels and just say, you know, what's the most important thing to you, and how did you get to the point where you're at? What's next for you? I think hearing those conversations is so valuable, because when I was getting started 15 years ago, there was not a podcast like this, and I wish there was. So I learned from one of my mentors to be what you need. She said, be what you need and become what you wish you had when you were getting started, before you had to learn the hard way, before you had to Google everything, before you just tested and tried things to figure out what worked. If somebody can speed up that process for you, they could save you 10 years of that hard work in a 1-hour conversation. And so there's a lot of value there in sharing your own experience. And for me, I'm using my music to share that message of the life season that I'm in, which is motherhood. So I've been writing songs about motherhood and sharing that with young moms. And so as I continue to grow and learn, I know that that will evolve, and as I'm writing more songs, I'll write about what else I learned in other seasons that I go through. And so it might look different 10 years from now, but right now, that's the season I'm in. And so I'm trying to use that in those little ways to speak into other people's lives. And I really believe that the little things are the big things. And so I want to encourage you with that today, to be intentional, to look for those opportunities, to have a conversation, speak into someone's life. It might just be one thing you say, but if you're intentional about it, and look people in the eye and say, I want to speak into your life right now, that could make all the difference. So don't discredit being a mentor to someone else. Don't feel like you have to be the expert and know all the things. You don't have to know all the answers to be able to give somebody their next step or to point them in the right direction. And it doesn't have to be someone that's younger than you. It could just be someone who's a few steps behind. And you might not feel like the expert, but if you have that experience, that's your experience, and that's what you can share. So I hope that that inspires you today. Really think about who you can be intentional about speaking into their life. And I want to share a video with you. It's a music video for a song that I wrote about motherhood, but it applies to anyone who is walking out their calling, and it's called Made for This. Thank you for having me this morning, and I hope you have an awesome rest of the day. We'll play this video, and then I'll turn it back over to you. But thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy this song. It's one that I wrote, and one of my mentors is actually in this video, and her daughter is the one who is the dancer in this video. Hope you enjoy it. Just takes a minute. So
It might take a little minute to warm up.
Okay. Got to warm up. All right.
I was going to be dramatic and just start it right there. Okay. We'll start it over. This was actually filmed in Hopkinsville as well, so not too far from here. I try to use local people in my videos and actually friends and people in my life and highlight their stories through my videos as well. So these are not actors. They're real people. They're from Hopkinsville. So this is made for this. songwriters or musicians, you can let them know about the Rustic Songbird Podcast, and more of my music is on rusticsongbird.com. I have some of my CDs here. My new CD is called Made for This, and it's all songs about motherhood. This is another one of them. We're not going to play that. But I do have some cards as well if you'd like to get connected, and I wanted to thank you again for having me this morning. Thank you.